what we're going to get into today is this notion of execution and acceleration. So the premise here is signal intelligence helps you figure out who might be in market, what their intentions are. Orchestration is making a decision about what your next action is going to be, who does what. Now we're going to get into the what and the execution and acceleration.
Everybody has ChatGPT or some equivalent. You have models that you can interrogate. But if the motion is, I'm going to go ask the model something and I need to interpret it, and then I need to go manually enter something for anything to happen, that's useful. It's better than nothing. But it's really decision support with a human bottleneck attached to it. And so when I think of, the future state that we're all headed towards, it's about having that AI really embedded in those workflows, in those core workflows for everything that we do. And that obviously helps with execution and acceleration. Yeah. And the acceleration part is fascinating because you can go really fast in the wrong direction or, hit those walls. And so, it needs to be coupled with intelligence and with those guardrails, because if not, you're just creating noise faster. So it's really about, compressing that time between that signal, as you alluded to, and an intelligent response, not just any response. So this was actually one of the first agentic workflows that I built for Inovalon, and it was close to 2 years ago that this was done. How do you encode all the best practices for any given set of tasks? If you can elicit all of the knowledge that the experts do when they do it right, how do you encode that in a system that enables you to perform that at scale? And so when I looked at, SEM ad creation, there's things that you ought to be doing every time you take that on. You should be doing some competitive intel. So what is out there in the market right now? Ideally, you're generating multiple responses with an LM, right? You want to have different options to choose from. So there's agents that do that competitive intel. We're leveraging multiple AI models to generate responses. I fine-tuned a model on the best performing ads in our space. And so that's part of that mix. I had some agents that are spun up when the person that enters the information specifies their target audience. We spin up agents that are evaluating those results through the lens of that persona. And then they provide feedback. And then very importantly, you need to regenerate your results based on that feedback. So that's called the reflexion pattern. And then after that, those ads are all scored. We also spun up an agent that represents the Google ad quality, point of view. That also provides input. All of those scores are aggregated, they're sorted. And then what we give to our users is not just a rank ordered set of ads, but also the feedback that's associated with it, the lens through which those agents are looking at it. And that gives them that first draft for them to pick and choose and modify as needed. So it compresses that cycle to that first draft. And so when I look at AI in general, just for all marketing teams, you never have enough time to do everything that you want to do, or at least not at the level that you would like to do it. So it buys you time that you can invest in other things. And that's why I'm always preaching to my team and others is automate the boring stuff so that we can focus on areas where we can deliver value, where we have judgment and can make a difference.
Any other examples of, in what you've done in the last couple of years, in reducing time to value or also improving the quality of execution?
I do think that just in terms of quality, having these systems that are beck and call that can give us 10, 20 variations for us to pick and choose from, that has to elevate quality. We know this in our daily interactions with these systems. And if you imagine having each of us produce 10, 20 different variations like that, that's just not going to happen. And that's true not just in writing, that's true in image generation, that's true across all of these. And so if you couple those with systems that can automate some of your own guardrails. So we have, for example, a content diagnostics tool that I built that we host in Monday, where our marketers live. That tool evaluates writing generated by humans or LLMs or some combination. But we have particular thinkers that we love, like Make It Punchy from Emma Stratton. And so that system evaluates the writing in terms of its punchiness and gives back detailed responses. But it also does things like it looks at alignment to our message banks, looks at alignment to our personas, looks at the Flesch Kincaid reading level because we'd had a tendency to write a little bit higher than the average American can comprehend. And then there's an agent that synthesizes all those results and says, okay, based on the totality of all these, here's your actionable next steps. And if you want the additional details, and so we've used that quite a bit in our work to get to, better place faster. I have to say with that diagnostic tool in particular, and the Punchy tool that sort of kicked it off, it's a GPT called, is it Punchy? It's actually available to anybody that has ChatGPT. The reaction to that one was phenomenal. I think in part because there's still a lot of agency on the part of the writers. So they're producing the work and then they can get responsive back to it. So there's a sense of ownership there. But there's also a sense of competition. And there's just something about putting a number, a score that just, really drives certain people. Actually, just last week, I heard I will not hand in anything that does not get a score of, let's say, an 82 or not. If it's not 82, I'm going to keep rewriting it until it hits that punchiness level.
Oh, wow. That's great.
And that makes me happy. That makes our editor and then the head of content very happy as well. And then, we have a similar voice across them. Well, let me tell you about one of our latest projects. And it's one I'm kind of excited about. And it's a custom system we built called the Agentic Opportunity Scoring System. And so the idea with that one is, we've had a lead scoring model in Marketo, like so many do. But we wanted to, kind of take it to the next level. And the idea was have it take in all of the available signal intelligence that we have at our disposal. So we have the people level data in terms of persona alignment. We have, demographic information. We have LinkedIn profile information. We have company level information. So we can look at ICP fit. We have data from outside of our digital walls from Demandbase, Revit. And then we have really good historical data on conversion rates by channel, conversion rates by sales teams, and so on. And so the system is built in such a way so it can take in all this information. We have some agents that are doing things like looking at the persona alignment. We have some Bayesian math that occurs under the hood to calculate a probability that a given lead will convert. And then we provide that textual surround. So here's the story for this particular lead and why you should prosecute it to your salesperson. And so the way it ties back to learning is there is a learning loop as part of this. So as we stamp these records with these probabilities, with the given attributes that we've assigned, in terms of personas and all these things, it goes through our various systems and then it's fed back in to compute those next set of probabilities. And so the system is going to get smarter over time as more leads progress through it.
As you look out, I was going to say, 3 to 5 years, but honestly, that's almost ridiculous. 3 to 5 months might be a better way of thinking about it. But in terms of where you're going, pick a horizon that you think is useful and paint a picture of where you think this is going to go for you guys and others should be thinking about.
Yeah. I mean, you hear this term of, overhang where the capabilities of the model are, outpacing the capabilities of society, culture, business, operating models, and so on. And so I do think per that article that went viral yesterday and so many other, similar essays, there has been a qualitative change in the models, particularly with Opus 4.6 and Codex 5.3. And even, the Gemini release from yesterday, they can do things at a level that they could not do 3 months ago. And so if you're doing your 5-year planning cycle, I mean, it's things are accelerating so quickly. And I hope as a society, we can, find a way to deal with that level of change. But assuming the current pace continues, really the ideal end state for me is a hybrid human AI, operating model.
Yeah.
And so what we are doing is some of the things, they may not. So just being very clear about here's our processes. And these processes are not just documented, but they're actually embedded in systems, in our case, like Monday.com, that are accessible and actionable by both humans and bots. And so then we can say for this particular span, let's keep it at the humans, but this one, let's swap it out. This one makes sense to have the machines swap out. So just being very actionable and clear about what those boundaries are and respecting the strengths and weaknesses of those 3 strands. And just knowing if you fully adopt it, those people that fully adopt it can be so much more productive. And again, hopefully to free up time from the drudgery to do things that are exciting and creative and allow you to, provide judgment, the things that humans are good at and flourish with it. So I think the organizations that can shift to that have a higher chance of survival than those that, close their eyes, or the ones that embrace it fully, fire everyone, that's where you get AI slop and all sorts of failures. So there is still a place for humans in this mix.